Now in the final stage of a months-long project, artist John Iwerks is creating a permanent mural depicting a valley habitat inside the Wildling Museum in Solvang that is alive, with a healthy towering valley oak, birds, squirrels, and deer. We spoke to Iwerks and executive director Stacy Otte-Demangate about how the mural was created and how the piece will fit into the Wildling's plans.
The museum had been doing some strategic planning for the last couple of years, and one of the things that we really wanted to do was have a section of the museum dedicated to the local natural history through the lens of art. And so we decided the second floor would be the perfect place to do that. We had different community members that we met with and lots of discussions, and then it just kind of mutually came together that the idea of doing a mural of a valley oak habitat would be the perfect launching point for starting this new phase of the museum's mission. And we already knew John very well, and he just does amazing mural work as well as amazing artistry, and he knows the local landscape so well. So all of a sudden it just all kind of came together, and we had some grant funding to help kick it off, and then some donors got involved, and all of a sudden we're like, John, you're hired, let's do a mural. We felt he was really uniquely qualified. He'd already done a lot of natural history-based murals at different places like the Natural History Museum, Carrizo National Monument, UCSB, and some other places as well, and Sedgwick. He'd also done something out at Sedgwick, and he used to be a caretaker along with his wife at Arroyo Hondo. So how perfect, like he has lived in that landscape, he just knows it, so well. So.
Well, I started by studying this space, and I made a scale model of this physical space that was about 8 acres so. And I started studying trees around town and doing studies of them that fit that model. And I did maybe a dozen or so studies, and then finally I just sat down and made it up. And so I just said, well, this is, nothing seems to be quite right with all the open space that we want in here to show off the wildlife. And so I went from my mind and just said, this is it. And that's the one that stays alive. This was the drawing. Not completely covered in, but enough to get the idea of what we're doing. This little edge right here is torn because that represents this wall over here. So that took the scale model. And then taking that, I made a grid that faces down. I made a grid and figured out that this represents 6 inches each square.
Okay.
And so when I came to this wall, I was able to take a ruler and just mark off a 6-inch grid on the entire wall and follow it through this drawing.
I like the idea of having him that far back in the landscape.
So if it's here, it's looking too small.
Yeah, he looks, yeah. There's a lot of different things represented in the mural. For one, we want to point out the artistic tradition because we are primarily an art museum dedicated to telling the story of this area in California and beyond that. So in part, this will help us show that history of how these habitats with these amazing trees, some of these trees are like 300 years old. And they're sometimes disappearing. They're not regenerating at the same rate that they're disappearing at. So it's a little bit of an endangered landscape. So we want to show off their artistic tradition and sensitize people to the fact that you can't take this kind of habitat for granted between development and drought and other things. They're not necessarily going to be around forever. And then we really want to get more school groups out here and other kinds of groups to really engage with it. So we're going to be developing curriculum content that will really help certain grade levels learn what they need to learn anyway for school, but learn about it. Yeah, we found a living audio. There's going to be interpretive material here, and then we have a Ray Strong painting that we were donated last year that shows this kind of overall landscape, and he indicates again the long tradition of people being inspired by this. So there's going to be a lot of things on this wall that we're in the middle of developing and looking for additional funding for that. But video, audio, we want to record sounds of the birds that live in this kind of habitat so people can hear that, and maybe they'll learn what those species are, so the next time they're out hiking or walking, they'll go, hey, there's a scrub jay, calling.